Waitress accidentally spills coffee on customer. He's actually the restaurant owner in disguise. What if a single moment of clumsiness could transform your entire world? At Murphy's Diner on 5th Street, the morning rush was in full swing when 34-year-old waitress Claire Martinez felt her hands shake as she carried the coffee pot toward table 7. She'd been working double shifts for 3 weeks straight, trying to save enough money for her daughter's school supplies before the semester started. The exhaustion was catching up with her, but she couldn't afford to slow down. The customer at table 7 looked ordinary enough. A man in his early 40s wearing a simple gray sweater and jeans, reading a newspaper while sipping his coffee. Claire approached with a warm smile, the same genuine kindness she showed every customer, despite her fatigue. But as she reached to refill his cup, her tired hands betrayed her. The scalding coffee splashed across the table and onto his lap. Claire's heart sank as she watched the dark liquid spread across his clothes. "Where are you watching from tonight?" The man jumped up immediately, his newspaper soaked and his jeans stained dark brown from the knees down. Claire's face turned crimson as she grabbed every napkin within reach, her voice trembling with mortification. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Please, let me help you clean this up. I can't believe I just did that." Her hands shook as she dabbed at the spill, fighting back tears of exhaustion and embarrassment. "It's all right really," the man said softly, his voice surprisingly calm. "These things happen." He had kind eyes, Claire noticed, and despite the coffee dripping from his clothes, he wasn't shouting or demanding to speak to a manager as some customers did. Instead, he seemed more concerned about her obvious distress than his ruined outfit. Claire's supervisor, Janet, hurried over with a concerned expression. At 58, Janet had seen every kind of restaurant disaster imaginable, but she still worried about her hard-working waitresses. "What happened here?" she asked, surveying the scene. "I spilled coffee all over this gentleman," Claire admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll pay for his dry cleaning, of course. And his meal is on me." She knew she couldn't really afford either gesture, but her grandmother had taught her that taking responsibility meant making things right, no matter the cost. The customer, who had introduced himself simply as Tom, shook his head. "That's not necessary. Really, it was just an accident." He pulled out his wallet and left a generous tip on the table, far more than the cost of his simple breakfast. "Take care of yourself," he told Claire gently before walking toward the exit. As Claire cleaned up the mess, Janet placed a motherly hand on her shoulder. "Honey, you look exhausted. When's the last time you had a full night's sleep?" Claire tried to smile, but Janet saw right through it. "That's what I thought. You've been pushing yourself too hard." "I have to," Claire replied quietly, wringing out the coffee-soaked napkins. "Mia starts school next month, and I still need to buy her books and supplies. The overtime pay helps, but it's still not enough." Her 8-year-old daughter was the light of her life, and Claire was determined to give her every opportunity, even if it meant working herself to the bone. What Claire didn't know was that Tom hadn't actually left the restaurant. He sat in his car outside, watching through the window as she continued serving other customers with the same genuine warmth she'd shown him, despite her obvious embarrassment. There was something about her sincerity, her immediate willingness to take responsibility and make amends, that struck him deeply. Tom pulled out his phone and made a call. "Hey, it's me. I need you to look into one of our employees, Claire Martinez. I want to know everything: how long she's worked here, her performance reviews, her situation at home. And be discreet about it." He paused, still watching Claire work. "I have a feeling there's more to this story than a simple coffee spill." The next morning, Claire arrived at Murphy's Diner 30 minutes early, as she always did. She used the quiet time to prep the coffee station and organize her section, hoping to avoid any more accidents like yesterday's disaster. The embarrassment still burned in her chest every time she thought about it. She'd been working at Murphy's for 2 years without a single major mistake, and now she'd probably be remembered as the waitress who doused a customer in scalding coffee. "Morning, sweetheart," Janet called from behind the counter. "You're looking a bit more rested today." Claire managed a small smile. "I made sure to get some sleep. Can't afford any more disasters like yesterday." She tied her apron and checked her section, noticing that table 7, the scene of yesterday's incident, had been assigned to her again. Her stomach clenched with anxiety. Around 10 o'clock, the same man from yesterday walked through the door. Claire's heart nearly stopped. Tom was back, wearing a different outfit but the same kind expression. He looked around the restaurant briefly before choosing a different table, table 12 in the corner. Claire took a deep breath and approached him, notepad in hand. "Good morning," she said carefully. "I want to apologize again for yesterday. That was completely unacceptable. And..." "Please," Tom interrupted gently, "you don't need to apologize again. I told you, accidents happen." He studied her face with genuine concern. "You look tired. Are you feeling all right?" His unexpected kindness caught Claire off guard. Most customers who returned after such an incident came back to complain or demand compensation. "I'm fine, thank you for asking. What can I get you this morning?" As Claire served Tom his breakfast, she couldn't help but notice how he watched the restaurant's operations. His eyes followed the other servers, observed the kitchen workflow, and seemed to take mental notes about everything from the cleanliness of the tables to the efficiency of the service. When the morning rush hit and Claire found herself juggling 6 tables at once, she caught him watching her specifically, noting how she remembered every order without writing them down and how she checked on elderly customers a little more frequently. During her break, Claire sat in the small employee area behind the kitchen, counting the tips from her morning shift. Every dollar mattered now. She pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket, a list of school supplies Mia needed. Backpack, notebooks, pencils, a calculator for her advanced math class. The total came to nearly $200, money Claire simply didn't have. She'd already asked for extra shifts, but the restaurant was fully staffed. What Claire didn't see was Tom standing near the kitchen door, having returned his coffee cup personally instead of leaving it on the table. He witnessed this private moment, a hard-working mother quietly calculating whether she could afford to give her daughter what she needed for school. The genuine worry on her face, the careful way she folded the list back into her pocket, told him everything he needed to know about her character. If this moment touched your heart, please give the video a thumbs up. Tomorrow would bring a conversation that would change everything, but neither Claire nor Tom knew it yet. The kindness of a stranger was about to collide with the hidden truth of who he really was, setting the stage for a revelation that would transform both their lives forever. Friday afternoon brought the kind of crisis Claire had been dreading. As she served the lunch crowd, Janet pulled her aside with a serious expression. "Claire, honey, I need to talk to you. The corporation called this morning." Claire's blood ran cold. "What about?" "Someone filed a complaint about the coffee incident. They're saying you were reckless and could have seriously burned someone." Janet's voice was heavy with concern. "I tried to explain that you're one of our best servers, that this was completely out of character, but they want a formal investigation." The words hit Claire like a punch to the stomach. An investigation? But the customer said it was fine. He wasn't angry at all. Her mind raced back to Tom's kind response, his insistence that accidents happen. "I know, sweetie, but apparently someone else witnessed it and reported it differently." Janet looked around nervously. "They're sending a district manager next week to review your employment." "I'm so sorry, Claire. I wish I could do more." Claire felt the walls closing in around her. If she lost this job, she had nothing. No savings, no backup plan, and school started in 2 weeks. What does this mean exactly? "It means you're on probation until the review. One more incident of any kind, and..." Janet couldn't finish the sentence, but they both knew what it meant. That afternoon, Claire struggled to focus on her tables. Her hands shook every time she carried drinks, terrified of making another mistake. The stress was overwhelming, and she found herself fighting back tears as she took orders. When Tom arrived for his now regular afternoon coffee, she almost asked Janet to serve his table instead. "Rough day?" Tom asked gently when Claire approached his table. Something in her expression must have given away her distress. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't burden customers with my problems," Claire replied, forcing her professional smile. "What can I get you today?" "Sometimes talking helps," Tom said softly. "I'm a good listener, if you need one." His unexpected kindness broke through her reserve. "I might lose my job because of what happened yesterday," she found herself admitting. "Someone complained, and now I'm under investigation. I don't know what I'll do if they fire me. My daughter starts school in 2 weeks, and I haven't even bought her supplies yet." Tom listened intently, his expression growing more serious with each word. "That seems extremely harsh for an honest mistake. Surely your work history counts for something." 2 years without any problems, but apparently that doesn't matter if someone thinks you're dangerous with hot coffee. Claire laughed bitterly, then immediately apologized. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't be telling you this." "Don't apologize. Sometimes life feels impossibly unfair." Tom paused, seeming to wrestle with something internally. "Can I ask you something? If you could change anything about this place, what would it be?" The question caught Claire off guard, but something in his tone made her answer honestly. "I'd make sure the employees felt valued. That hard work and good character mattered more than one bad moment." Have you ever faced something like this in your own life? Let us know in the comments. Tom nodded slowly, making a mental note. "That's exactly what I thought you'd say." He stood to leave, but paused. "Claire, I have a feeling things might not be as hopeless as they seem." Monday morning arrived gray and drizzling, matching Claire's mood as she prepared for what might be her final week at Murphy's Diner. The district manager was scheduled to arrive that afternoon for her employment review. She'd spent the weekend rehearsing what she'd say, but her confidence was shattered. At precisely 2 o'clock, a black sedan pulled up outside the restaurant. Claire watched through the window as a woman in a business suit stepped out, followed by someone who made her heart stop completely. Tom emerged from the passenger side, but he looked different now, more authoritative, wearing an expensive navy suit instead of his usual casual clothes. Janet's face went pale as they entered. "Mr. Patterson, what a surprise. We weren't expecting." "Patterson," Claire whispered, the name hitting her like a thunderbolt. "Patterson. As in Patterson Restaurant Group. As in the company that owned Murphy's Diner and 43 other establishments across 3 states. Tom's eyes found Claire's across the restaurant, and she saw something there she'd never noticed before. The unmistakable presence of someone accustomed to being in charge. "Hello, Claire," he said gently. "I believe we need to talk." The district manager, a stern woman named Mrs. Coleman, looked confused. "Sir, this is highly irregular. The employee review was scheduled to be conducted by me," Tom said firmly. "I'll be handling this personally." Claire felt like she was living in a dream as Tom led her to a corner booth. Her mind raced with questions, but the biggest one escaped her lips first. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" "Because I wanted to see the real Murphy's Diner," Tom replied honestly. "Not the version employees put on when the owner visits. I've been trying to understand why some of our locations feel more like family than others. This place has something special, and I needed to figure out what that was." "And the coffee spill?" Tom smiled, the same kind expression she'd grown used to. "Was exactly what you said it was, an accident. But your response to it told me everything I needed to know about your character. You immediately took responsibility, offered to make it right, and continued serving other customers with the same genuine care despite being embarrassed." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "But someone complained. The investigation." "There is no complaint," Tom said gently. "I asked Mrs. Coleman to say that so I could observe how you handled pressure. I wanted to see if kindness was just an act or part of who you really are." "That wasn't fair," Claire said, her voice shaking with relief and anger. "I thought I was going to lose everything." "You're absolutely right, and I apologize. It wasn't fair, and I should have handled this differently." Tom's expression was genuinely regretful. "But I needed to understand what makes employees like you so special before I could make the changes this company needs." Claire stared at him, overwhelmed. What kind of changes? Tom pulled out a folder from his briefcase. The kind that ensures hard-working single mothers don't have to choose between their health and their child's education. The kind that value character over corporate policy. If you've been enjoying this story, subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. Claire's life was about to change in ways she never imagined, and the best part of this story was still to come. Tom opened the folder and pulled out several documents that made Claire's breath catch. The first was a promotion letter, assistant manager of Murphy's Diner, with a salary that was nearly double what she currently made. The second was a check made out to her personally, enough to cover not just Mia's school supplies but her entire school year. "I don't understand," Claire whispered, staring at the papers with disbelief. "Why would you do this?" "Because in 20 years of running restaurants, I've learned that the difference between a good establishment and a great one isn't the food or the location. It's the people," Tom explained. "Watching you work these past few days, I saw someone who treats every customer like family, who takes pride in doing things right, and who never lets personal struggles affect the care she shows others. That's exactly the kind of person I want leading our teams." Claire's hands trembled as she held the documents. "But I spilled coffee on you. I embarrassed myself completely. And then you handled it with more grace and integrity than most people would. You didn't make excuses, you didn't blame anyone else, and you tried to make things right even though it would cost you money you didn't have." Tom smiled warmly. "That's not someone who makes mistakes, Claire. That's someone who shows character when mistakes happen." Through the window, Claire could see Mia getting off the school bus, her backpack worn and patched but her smile bright as she waved to her mother through the glass. Soon, Claire would be able to buy her daughter new books, proper supplies, maybe even the art classes Mia had been dreaming about. "There's one condition," Tom continued, his expression growing serious. "I want you to help me implement changes across all our locations. Training programs that focus on treating employees as whole people, not just workers. Policies that support parents and families. I've seen how Janet runs this place like a family, and I want that culture everywhere." Claire nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'd be honored to help." As Tom prepared to leave, he paused at the door. "You know, I've eaten at hundreds of restaurants, but the coffee you served me that first day, before the spill, was the best I'd had in years. Not because of the coffee itself, but because it was served with genuine care." That evening, Claire sat at her kitchen table with Mia, spreading out the school supply list that had caused her so much worry. Her daughter's eyes went wide as Claire explained they could buy everything on the list, plus some special art supplies she'd been wanting. "Mama, does this mean you won't have to work so many late shifts?" Mia asked hopefully. "That's exactly what it means, baby. We're going to have so much more time together." As Claire tucked Mia into bed that night, she reflected on how a simple accident had transformed into the biggest blessing of her life. Sometimes the moments that feel like endings are actually new beginnings in disguise. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts about second chances and unexpected kindness, and subscribe for more heartwarming tales that celebrate the goodness in everyday people. Thank you for taking this journey with Claire and Tom. May their story remind us all that genuine kindness, both given and received, has the power to change lives in the most beautiful ways.